Today we're looking at Create a Club once again. This was actually a suggestion from one of my subscribers who suggested I go through every single league and suggest a team you can create. This is the first part of this because I had to split it into 4 different videos. So if you're looking for a league that's not on the screen right now, then make sure you check out one of the other 4 videos by clicking the playlist link on the screen right now. We've got a really good selection of clubs here. We've got real ones, fake ones, 1-star teams, 4-star teams, Premier League, the Irish League. Anything you want to start off your Create Club, you'll probably be able to find in this or the next video. So make sure you stick around till the end or use the time at the bottom to skip to the league that you're most interested in. We're going to be beginning in Belgium, starting off with Beerschot AC. So this is actually a team that really existed. They were founded in 1999, so a very new team, as a merger of 2 other teams in Belgium. Prior to the merger, Germinal Ekeren had been a first division club for 10 years, while the 7 times Belgium champions Beerschot was struggling in the 3rd division in heavy debt. While it existed, Beerschot AC actually won 2 Belgian Cups. One of them was still as Germinal Ekeren in 1997, but the other was as Germinal Beerschot, which was the combination merger team in 2005. The best league ranking was 3rd place in 1995 and again in 1997. Beerschot AC's lasting legacy, however, was its youth academy. It developed Thomas Vermaelen, Mousa Dembélé, Radja Nainggolan, Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld, who were all big parts of Belgium's golden generation over the past decade. Unfortunately for Beerschot, however, in 2013 they got relegated and they were instantly dissolved as a club. A team in the 2nd division called Wilrijk assumed the identity of Beerschot by buying their license and buying their place in the league. You can actually currently find this team in FIFA, so it's a good rival if you do ever try and do this save. Staying in a similar area of Europe, we're going to be heading over to Holland, and we're going to look at FC Amsterdam, which is a team that was also founded pretty recently in 1972. Amsterdam, of course, is the same city that Ajax is in, so you do have a very strong rival if you do decide to do the save in the Eredivisie. FC Amsterdam was born and result, again, as a merger between DWS and Blauw-Wit Amsterdam. FC Amsterdam finished 5th in just their 2nd season, which meant they qualified for the UEFA Cup. Just to put it into perspective, the Eredivisie was actually really strong back in the 70s, and it was the time where the national team was at its strongest, so this is no mean feat. They managed to beat both Inter and AC Milan, but they got relegated only 6 seasons after they were founded, and only 4 years later in 1982, a decade after they were founded, they found themselves dissolved and no longer existing. I'd recommend making FC Amsterdam as a 3-star team in the Eredivisie. It would give you a nice challenge to try and develop up to the level of Ajax, but you'd also have a mid-table ready team, just like FC Amsterdam did have in real life. Moving away from Europe and heading over to America, we're looking at Las Vegas, which is one of the most glamorous and desired cities in the world. They recently got an NFL team, with the Raiders moving from Oakland, so there is potential for a new franchise to open up in LA. They've got a bigger population than 75% of the MLS host cities, and of course, Las Vegas is a famous city with a very distinct culture around casinos, glamour, and lots of money. So we're going to suggest that you give them very good finances. Pretend that maybe some massive casino owner has bought out a franchise in the MLS, and he's wanting to move them to Las Vegas, close to where he's made his money. New franchise, of course, always means a poor squad, so I'd recommend giving them either 2.5 or 3 stars just so you start at the bottom, because the average overall in the MLS is actually only 66, so you want to make sure your average overall is below this at all times. You can probably get some inspiration for the kits by looking at the NFL team's home and away jerseys, and you're probably going to want to try and roll the dice and see if you can win the MLS as Las Vegas. Heading back over to Europe, and in the Spanish top flight, I'm going to suggest you make Atletico Tetuan. Now, I'm not going to go over this one too much because I have suggested a bunch of Spanish teams in another video, which I'll put a card on the screen right now so you can check out if you're interested in Spain. But basically, this was a La Liga team who played in Morocco. The club actually existed in a place called Tetuan in Morocco, but after Moroccan independence in 1956, they moved from Tetuan to Ceuta, which is currently Spanish owned and on the North African coast. The club was dissolved in 2012, but I think the goal of a save with Tetuan would be to try and sign lots and lots of North African players. I'm sure there's a bunch you can think of, even lesser known ones, people like Belhanda, Tarabt. There's a lot of players out there that you can sign that would be La Liga ready. So I'd recommend starting off with maybe 3 to 4 star team and signing as many North African players as you can and try and build your squad up that way. Heading away from Europe once again, we're looking at China, and this is probably the most successful team on this entire list. Dalian Shide FC was one of China's first professional clubs, where they transitioned from being amateurs in 1993. Over the next decade, they managed to win 8 league titles and 9 Chinese Cups, and they were also in the Asian Champions League and the Asian Cup Winners' Cup finals, but they unfortunately did lose in both. However, only 20 years after they became professional, in 2012, their owner was arrested for corruption, and after trying to do what many teams on this list did by trying to merge with the other team in the city, which failed, the team was disbanded. If you're looking for a challenge, this team actually owned another team that played in Singapore. The team only lasted for 1 season, but maybe you can try and get 1 or 2 players of Singaporean heritage into your first team and see if you can develop them for their national team. Back over to Europe once again, we're going to be looking at the team that Red Bull bought out to create Red Bull Salzburg. Of course, this is Austria Salzburg. They won the 1994 Austrian League title, they made it to the UEFA Cup final in the same season, and they had a pretty successful time of it until 2005 when they were bought out by Red Bull. The main goal of this, of course, is to try and overcome Red Bull's massive finances and become the best team in the city once again. The team doesn't actually exist anymore because the full license was bought out by Red Bull Salzburg, so Austria Salzburg would be a totally brand new team with no history. I'd recommend making them maybe 2 to 3 stars just to make the challenge a little bit harder, but going in at the same level as Red Bull Salzburg is possible. If you want to make the rivalry a bit stronger and maybe justify giving yourself a better team or more money, maybe name your team after a different energy drink, so maybe something like Monster or Boost. There's lots of options out there, and I'm sure you've got a favourite one that you can try and incorporate into this save. I think it would be a fun save trying to take over from Red Bull. It's now time to head from Austria to the south of Italy to look at Palermo, who is again another team that I've made a full video on, so check out the card on the screen right now if you want to check that one out. Of course, Palermo are probably most famous for having people like Dybala, Pastore, Lavezzi, Micheli, Belotti. The list just goes on, all very, very good players on FIFA and all very, very good players in real life. Second to this, if you don't know any of these players, you probably know that Palermo used to play in pink, because they're one of the very few teams that have this as their home kit. Palermo were regulars in Serie A until they had some serious financial problems over the last decade, which even resulted in them dropping down to the 4th division of Spain, and they currently find themselves in the 3rd division. Of course, based in Sicily, you can try and sign as many Sicilian players as you can, maybe make it a homegrown save, because there are actually quite a lot of good players from Sicily on the game. Of course, if you're starting off Palermo, probably give yourself an average squad of 3 or 4 stars and make sure you have very, very poor finances, with that being a critical objective to try and strengthen. I think Serie A is a good league to do this with because you can replace one of the fake teams, maybe someone like Atlanta, because you're not really going to be missing out too much on having a fake team being kicked out of the league. Staying in Southern Europe, we're going to be looking at the Portuguese league now, and it's going to be Estrela da Amadora that I recommend you use. This team managed to win the Portuguese Cup in 1990. From here on, it played in the UEFA Cups for 2 years, and they were a solid top-flight team until the mid-2000s when they had a double relegation due to financial issues. In 2009, the club received a 2-year ban because of how bad the financial situation had got. They weren't allowed to play any league matches, so the club actually dissolved because of this after 1 year. The club was refounded as CD Estrela, and this was founded in 2018, where it merged with Sintra in 2020, and it's now back in the 3rd division, so only 2 more promotions to get back to where they used to be. Because this team was fairly mid-table, they were sort of 7th placed every season, 10th place, that kind of thing, I would recommend you give them an average overall, which the average overall for the league is 68, so give them a 3 to 3.5 star squad. With this, you'll be able to progress up the league and see if you can maybe finally become the 4th best team in Portugal. So that's the first of the 4 parts for this save. I thought I'd try and split the video up into 4 so they don't become too long, because if it even did it into just 2, it would probably be around half an hour long for each episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and if you've got any signing suggestions or team suggestions for any of the leagues that I mentioned in this video, of course, drop them in the comments below, and make sure you read the comments because I've put notes for the whole video in there below as well. If you enjoyed the video or you're going to do any of these teams, please do let me know by liking the video, leaving me a comment on Discord, comment in the YouTube comments, or maybe tweet me a picture on Twitter. Thank you for watching this far. I would recommend you subscribe if you don't want to miss the next 3 parts of this and get a save idea for every single league. and hopefully I'll see you around for those parts very soon. Thank you very much and see you goodbye. Bye.